Episode 100. We are joined by some special guests and talk spring training baseball. You're listening to the Bucko Banter podcast brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Order steak by the plate, sending case after case. Run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snake.
Adam, episode 100, we made it. I can't believe we're here. We thought, what would it be better than being joined by some of our friends in the Pirates community? It's going to be a special episode. I'm excited to break down some spring training baseball, only 2 games so far, and just banter a little bit here for the next 10 minutes.
Did you think we would get to 100 before this season started?
No, because we were only recording once a week, because we were recapping the whole week of games, which I'm glad we started doing 2 when we got with Just Baseball, because it made it a lot easier to do a series at a time. But yeah, man, if we kept on that pace, we probably wouldn't have been at 100 until sometime this spring or beginning of the summer.
Really wild. Extremely wild, man. I just realized I didn't have my microphone right next to me.
I could hear you perfectly.
100 episodes later, I'm still making mistakes, but a lot of ups and downs, but mostly ups along the way, man. And I'm excited for 100 more. This season's going to be absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to get down to spring training with you. It's going to be a ball.
Yeah.
We got a lot of cool stuff planned, but let's give ourselves a little pat on the back here. This is good stuff, man. Average podcast last 7 episodes, we made it to 100, so we're pretty much done, right?
Made it 93 pass or something like that. I think my math is correct. I don't know.
It's we've technically recorded more than 100 already.
For sure. We got some more lined up this week for team previews. It's just we've done a psychotic amount of recordings this past week.
Yeah, and we're going to be joined by Jim Rosati of NS9. So he knows about recording pretty much every single day. So this is new to us, but it's been 3 recordings a night, back to back, with people around the league talking about different teams, learning about different teams, mostly making me sad about baseball, to be honest with you. Talking to Fabian Ardaya of the Los Angeles Dodgers made me question everything that I've done in my life. Great guy. I love that conversation. Listen to it next week when it comes out. Hearing a Dodgers fan talk about their offseason is just oh, man.
It's not that much different. We got traded for Spencer Horwitz. No, I'm not even going to go down that. No, it was bad. It was bad. And then even guys I'll plug Justice De Los Santos for the Giants, and we talked to Dalton Feely from John Boy Media for the Diamondbacks. Even the Diamondbacks are really exciting this year, man. So
just kind of dealt a bad hand in that division, huh?
I think everyone other than the Dodgers has dealt a bad hand in that division, because
in the whole league, in
the whole league. So it's tough to be an NL West guy. But let's real quick, let's dive into, before we have Noah and Destin on and listen to what Destin's been eating this week. Let's dive into Andrew Heaney. Was just signed by the Pirates. He's a left-handed starter. He's played for a few teams the past couple of years: Angels, Yankees, Rangers. Has had a pretty good track record as a back-end rotation guy. He can also be kind of a long man if you need him to. I think it's good depth, man. I think maybe that this means that they're trying to bring along Oviedo slowly, maybe more in the Ortiz role, if you will. But I'm a fan. I think more arms the better, and I think he's a nice veteran presence there in the rotation or wherever they put him.
Yeah, I think as Pirates fans, we're trained to find the negative right away. Why is this signing bad? How does this guy not fit to the puzzle? This is a good signing. It's the highest signing of the offseason, was a $5.25 million. So that part a little concerning, but overall, him joining the team, very good. There's so many different options. Like you mentioned, Oviedo. Could that mean he's going to maybe a 15-day IL? They're going to ramp him up a little bit more. Is there a trade going to be involved to maybe get a potential bat, or are you going to have 2 lefties in a rotation?
Well,
had Bailey Falter.
The corresponding move was Brett DeGuss. I'll let Noah say that one, but that was short-lived. And Chris,
R.I.P. my guy. Yeah.
Chris from Renegades of the Rotunda posted a fire meme that I was hoping that he would post during the season when Brett DeGus made an appearance in Pittsburgh, but maybe we won't be able to see that, unfortunately.
No, but let's talk Haney real quick.
Yeah,
because he thrived in off-speed stuff last year, 86 percentile. He had a good chase rate, really good value on the four seam at 3, changeup good. I mean, it's a good mix. It's a kind of a funky delivery from the left-handed side. You're getting a guy with experience, somebody who's been there before. We've talked about that countless times, right, on this show, adding not just a veteran presence to the clubhouse, because you have that a little bit in Andrew McCutchen, but guys that have been through those long playoff runs, that have played in the World Series, that have won in World Series. Now you got guys like Caleb Ferguson, you got guys like Andrew Haney, you have a veteran in Tommy Pham, whether you like it or not. It's just adding a little bit more gusto to the house, right? A little bit more to talk about, a little bit more excitement or expectations. And I know expectations are pretty low right now.
Yeah.
But having those guys that are like, hey, we're playing for something and we've been there before, because once you play for it, you probably have a taste for it, right?
Absolutely.
So their presence alone, I think, helps.
I mean, he had a pretty good 2024. I mean, I don't look at win-loss for pitchers, especially when the Rangers didn't have a good year last year. He was 5-14 record-wise, but he had a 4.28 ERA, 159 strikeouts, 125 WHIP. I mean, he had a pretty solid season. I mean, I like him more than like a Marco Gonzalez, compared to last year. I think that's an upgrade if we're even comparing Andrew Heaney to Marco Gonzalez. But again, it's just a nice veteran presence to have in the back end of that rotation that has experience. It's been there. And this front office seems to love their lefties.
Every offseason, it's a veteran
every
lefty.
offseason. I swear, man. I was shocked that we hadn't signed one yet, and then I saw Andrew Heaney. I was like, this makes way too much sense.
Let's go through them: Rich Hill, Marco Gonzalez, Martin Perez,
Bailey Falter,
Haney, Bailey Falter. Yeah. We're probably missing a couple more, but
Jalen Beeks, not a starter.
God. Overall, man, fine. We got spring training baseball going on. The boys are undefeated. So listen, spring training stats don't mean anything unless I decide so.
Wait, we're undefeated.
We're undefeated. Exactly. All of this is nonsense. It doesn't count. None of it means anything unless I decide it means something. And the boys are undefeated.
I'm pretty sure Skeens is pitching tomorrow, and we're going in 2-0. Yeah. So get ready for 3-0. Even though we'll probably only pitch an inning. I'm excited, man. It's there's a few guys that I'm watching throughout spring. Ryan Hayes, Henry Davis. See these guys that need to make adjustments. Connor Griffin got an at bat today, and we'll talk about that with the guys here shortly. But spring's a fun time to just watch baseball in a more relaxed fashion, and you don't have to put too much weight into the results. You just want to see if there's adjustments made and meaningful contact, meaningful changes with repertoire on the mound. Don't weigh spring training stats too much unless we say so.
Exactly. Before we get Destin and Noah Hiles on here, is there anything that you look for specifically? Because I know we don't really look at stats too much, but more so like advanced analytics or metrics or adjustments that you're trying to watch for in spring training with certain guys on the 40-man?
Yeah, I mean, with the bat, I feel like exit velo, and I mean, you just want to look at swing mechanics too to see if they're making adjustments. Like, look at Henry Davis. We talked about this earlier. Like, Henry Davis doesn't look much different, and it's only one game of at bats there. But and then on the mound, it's too early to start looking at velo and spin and all that. But that's something that you're going to start looking at through a couple appearances throughout the spring. Is, hey, has this guy added a pitch? Is he throwing harder? What's different with the repertoire? What's different with the pitch mix? I mean, you definitely want to look at some of these guys are going in, look less at the results and look more at what they're working on and what they're throwing.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely looking for adjustments, especially with guys like Henry Davis, Brian Hayes. I'm going to ask the guys this in a second, but here's a little player comp for me. I guess not comp, but Matt Gorski hit 2 home runs the other day. Absolute no doubters, right?
Yeah.
his swing, not like the operation itself, because the operation is pretty funky before he gets the bat through the zone. But like the finish reminds me of Henry Davis a lot.
Ooh.
Just because it's like a two-handed strong. I call it, like, when I was playing baseball and going through lessons, it's like the Carlos Delgado finish. Like, you're working on getting your hands through the zone and then like stopping them out in front, like whipping those forearms, and just like the two-handed finish with those guys is so strong and so apparent when they make solid contact. Everything else about it, not really the same, but it's more that like strong big man finish at the end that kind of reminds me of both, which is not necessarily a great thing when I'm talking about both of those swings. But let's bring in our first guest. We'll be right back, and then we will be joined by Noah Hiles and Andrew Destin of the Post-Gazette. Welcome back, everybody. Joining us now is repeat guest many times on the podcast. You know them from the Post-Gazette, and there are many appearances on Bucko Banter. Please welcome back Noah Hiles and Andrew Destin. What's going on, boys?
Guys, 100 episodes. Congratulations. I want to say, as one of the first guests on the show, I believe the first recurring guest.
Yeah.
I am, real talk, very proud of you guys. You guys really built a brand for yourself. I enjoy watching and listening when I'm not on the show. Yeah, and it's been an honor to be a part of this.
Thanks, man.
Seconding everything Noah said. I mean, it's been cool just to watch the three of you guys work whenever Noah's on. I always enjoy tuning into those whenever you guys do your pods. Having as many players on the show as you guys have had has been so cool. Just like, because I feel like it allows you to peel back a curtain that maybe some reporters can't do, or like we don't get a chance to do, where you can take a step away from the game. Like, you guys have crushed it. And so to be part of this is an honor, I know, for both of us.
Appreciate it, boys. Appreciate it, boys. Yeah. You know, Destin, I got a question for you, man. This is the first question to both of you. What have you been eating these days?
Oh,
like what have you been trying?
After all that, that's the first
after
question,
all that, like, I appreciate all the compliments and all.
Right.
I need to know what Destin has been trying in Bradenton this week.
Okay, so you've been keeping up with all of Noah and Alex's content, I'm sure,
Absolutely,
of all the things I've eaten. Some stuff that went unnoticed was today I had a Starbucks, what was it, double mocha.
And I wish I would have been around for that. I would have stopped that.
It was
You didn't need to do that.
It was pretty rough. It was Starbucks double mocha Oreo cookie frappuccino with whipped cream.
Yeah, that's like going to a guy who's like smoked 2 joints in his life and be like, here's some black tar heroin.
That's
he just
0
wasn't
to
ready
100.
for that at
No,
all.
I wasn't. I didn't build up a tolerance to it. It was tough. But the oatmeal cream pies were
He's sitting there in the press box. feeling his heart.
OCPs.
I really didn't feel good for a lot of today.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That's gross. That's so much sugar. Like,
Yeah. That's what, and like when we were driving back, he was like, that's not like a normal thing people drink. I was like, no, dude, like that's, you tried the most extreme thing possible of unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like that's, like we got milkshakes from DoorDash last night and
That was fine.
that was fine.
Good.
Culver's. It's
Yeah,
great.
Culver's is awesome.
Oh,
Shout out
yeah.
Culver's.
10 out of 10. But yeah, that's no.
I will say when we were driving here, we passed a Taco Bell and I said like, you will try this once before you head back up north. And he's like, I don't know. So we're working on
Taco
that.
Bell's where we draw the line.
But like
I've
just
just never had
Taco Bell, I tried to tell him like, it's not as bad of a rep as like it gets a bad rap. Like it's actually fine. It's no different than you've had McDonald's.
Yes,
right.
I
Yeah,
have.
like it's just as bad or good or as McDonald's. You know?
It's right
Yeah.
there. It's
Yeah.
right there. All right, awesome. Definitely keep up with that content, but let's talk baseball, boys.
Okay.
Let's
thank
start
God.
with let's start with Carmen Majinski. It was reported earlier in the week that during the exit meetings last year, he still wants to be a starter. Well, I kind of want to clarify that. Is that something that the Pirates wanted to ramp him up to do, or was that his intention going into the offseason? We can start with Destin.
You want me to tackle? Okay, I was
Yeah.
going to say my take from that is, and just from having conversations with people from inside the organization and knowing who Carmen is as a player since the Pirates drafted him, I have to believe and have been led to believe that it was him starting these conversations than the Pirates. They certainly view him as a reliable pitcher and somebody they want as part of the major league staff, right? Like they want him to be in the bullpen. He's been good in that role the last 2 years, but there's a reason they moved him from a starting rotation in the minors to a relief role. A, it got him to the big leagues quicker, but B, it's because they think that's what he's best suited for. Now, that being said, I think the bulk role is a good one for him, but the starting stuff, I think that's a guy in Carmen who, if correct me if I'm wrong, he's a top 40 pick, number 38?
He was like a competitive balance pick. So he would have been
played in the SEC. Like, yeah.
Like
Part of
he
a good
wants
draft
this.
class. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to be a starter. I'm not surprised. It's a guy who has a lot of confidence in himself. Anybody in the big leagues does. So I don't. That's my read on it. Is I gotta believe he's the one starting these convos.
Yeah, and I think to play off what Andrew said, I think that this only has legs because he's executed as a reliever. You know, if he was a bad reliever and said he wanted to be a starter, the Pirates would say, "Hey, why don't you just work on being a reliever first?"
Yep.
You know, but I think because he has a sub-3 ERA in his career so far, and obviously it's not a huge sample size, but I mean he's been a productive pitcher at the major league level, and he's still relatively young. He was a high draft pick, and I think the Pirates say, you know what, he's earned this opportunity to try to strive for more, and if he gets there, that's great. You can never have enough starting pitching, and there's going to be a time where they might need him, you know, would you rather have a stretched out Carmen Majinski who can give you 4 ups, or would you rather go back to the days of Domingo Herman and Jake Woodford, you know? And I think that's how they're thinking about this. Is it's a good thing for your culture where in any workplace where if you see someone who is executed every task that you've thrown their way, to approach them with an open ear when they have a desire. When they want to shoot for the moon, you support them. And they might never get a chance to do that, but you can't just shut that down, because then what's that say to anyone else who tries to take, you know, a step forward and try to be something bigger than the role in which you place in front of them? I just think that the Pirates are handling this right, and props to Carmen for wanting to go the extra mile and be a starting pitcher.
Yeah, my first thought when reading your report, Noah, was, I think it was yours that you posted, that is this a Carmen goal or is this a Pirates goal? Because it seemed like the way it was worded that it was like more of like something that Carmen wanted. And I get it. Like I love that he wants to be stretched out, and I think that's good for his development. But from my perspective, watching him, he's opened a few games this past year. It seems like he struggles once he goes to the lineup the second time.
Yeah, and it's definitely a Carmen goal. It's definitely a Carmen goal. But the Pirates are like, you know what? Like, hey, if he can give you 4 ups, like we're not in a position to pass that up from anyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think in today's age too, just like adding extra value to starting pitching, right? I mean, this could go beyond just like a guy potentially sneaking his way into a rotation, where like if he could potentially become that guy and the rotation's already loaded, then he becomes even more of an asset to this team moving forward. So
to another team.
Well, that's where I was getting at, like a trade asset. So I'm all for it, but you know, just interesting news to start off spring training.
Yeah, let's get into the first base battle real quick. Gorski had a big first game. DJ Stewart had a big first game. We've got Derek Hall. There's rumors of Adam Frazier taking some snaps at first base. Snaps. It's not football, but and Nick York as well. Like, how do we see this playing out in spring training?
I'll start. I think it's just whoever hits is going to play first base. I think that's as simple as it goes. I mean, because there's so many guys. Like Frazier has played first. I think he played like 4 innings last year for the Royals. DJ Stewart, what did he play? 5 for the Mets last year. So I mean, that's a whole game right there between those two. Nick York, his brothers have played first base, so he's first base
in the family. Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I think the Pirates are viewing this as, we don't need to go and find an everyday first baseman. Spencer Horwitz is going to be back before the end of April. Why don't we just go find the hottest hitter who can play first base in spring training is going to be their everyday first baseman for the first couple weeks of the season. If that's Derek Hall, if that's DJ Stewart, congrats. You made it as a non-roster invite. If it's Billy Cook, if it's Nick York, congrats. You're not starting the year in Indy. You're starting the year in the big leagues. If it's Jared Triolo, congrats. You're not the Swiss Army knife. You're the starting first baseman until Horwitz comes back, or and I think that's the right way to handle it, rather than going and getting an Anthony Rizzo or whoever else is out there. It's just This is something where if they put him on the 60-day, that's different, or if he's going to be out until May or June, that's different, because now you're talking about a sizable portion of your season. But I mean, what, 2 weeks? That's not anything sizable. 3 weeks. So yeah, I really think it's just going to come down to, we're going to see, and I think we're going to see the guys in competition. Like, for example, DJ Stewart was the DH today. He was in right field. But like, the at-bats matter. They're not looking to see who can play Gold Glove quality defense at that spot. It's just, can you even remotely play first base as a defender, and can you hit the ball? And they're going to get all the guys that you just mentioned as many at bats as possible, and whoever performs the best is going to get, I think, the best look at first base.
Yeah. The only addendum I think I'd tack on, and I pretty much agree with everything you said,
that
it's going to be about who hits. That's what comes first and foremost here. I think the other thing to consider maybe is there anybody who can separate themselves and show that they provide something different than what Spencer Horwitz provides?
That's true. Yeah, like power. Yeah.
Right. Could it be power? Could it be it's a right-handed bat that maybe they get a chance to be an everyday guy for 2-3 weeks, but when Spencer Horwitz returns, they get to be the right-handed complement to Spencer Horwitz. Maybe that's Billy Cook. Maybe that's Dick York. Maybe that's Jared Triolo. The Derek Hall, DJ Stewart conversation, I think you go that route if you are looking for, okay, this is truly just a stopgap for 3 weeks. He will do what we hoped Spencer Horwitz would do. And if he mashes, great. You can keep him on the 40-man. You can keep him on the active roster. If not, then you let the guy go after 3 weeks. No harm, no foul. So I'm just curious to see if anybody separates themselves in camp, like a York, a Cook, a Triolo, a versatile guy who can say, hey, I can play first base in a pinch. I could be a compliment to Horwitz. And maybe that's how they separate themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to Ke'Bryan Hayes real quick, because what I love about this, it's like the cliche, best shape of his life coming into camp. He's the happiest he's ever been. But it actually seems that way, right? Like, you see the guy smiling out there. He's saying the back feels healthy. Do you guys know if the Pirates have a plan going into 162, almost like load management for him in order to make sure that he is able to play the most games possible?
I mean, nothing concrete, but they've done that in the past.
Yeah.
That's been the plan before. The issue is just that it hasn't worked. Right. So
he's not there to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And there's so many factors to that, right? Like, I can remember back to, I want to say that was 2023, where they had the cross-country road trip to LA, where he got activated off the IL, played one game against the Dodgers, and then immediately was shelved after. And it was later revealed that the reasoning was that his back tightened up from a cross-country flight.
Right, yeah.
So, like, there's so many factors at play there that I think that, I don't think it'll ever be anything like, sometimes with starting pitchers, they fly guys out like a day or two early and skip the end of a homestand because, they have a scheduled start date at the beginning of a road trip or something like that. I don't think we'll ever reach territory like that with Ke'Bryan Hayes, but I have to believe the load management will be, something akin to don't do a day game right after a night game, maybe play 2 out of 3 games in the series. I don't know. I mean, they've done this in the past. It just hasn't really worked.
Yeah, he's never going to be a guy who plays both games of a doubleheader.
No.
I think that, like you said, like day and night games, and at this point, it's probably better for their investment to not push the limit. I mean, if you could guarantee you get as close to a 100% Ke'Bryan Hayes for 115 games, as opposed to, maybe a 60% Ke'Bryan Hayes for 130 games, which are you signing up for? I would take the 100% for 115. That's just the type of circumstance you're in right now. His back is just never going to be completely fixed, and you have to operate within reality. And the Pirates, I think, have done that. It's just the reality's been rather harsh. Yeah. So, yeah.
Before we go on to Stumpf, I think Stumpf's next, right? Or is it?
Yeah,
Jen?
I guess.
Yeah, Stumpf.
What a horrible second hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, tough follow.
My
really.
God. I mean, you're going right to a rebuild here after Shaq and Kobe leave. Swaggy P replacing the. Yeah. Oh my God.
All right. The over-under, at least we were listening to the Talking Baseball Pirates preview today, and they had the over-under, and I don't know when this was placed, but 77.5 wins for the Pirates. Would you guys place the over or the under on that?
I'll take the over.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I don't know how much over it's going to be.
Right.
But yeah, I just the pitching's going to be a lot better this year, and we can criticize. I mean, the offense is what it is, man. Like it's not going to be good, but in reality, if the pitching was anything close to what it was in June and July in the month of August, this team probably would have finished 500.
Yeah.
It just ran out of depth. They traded away some of it, and some of it got hurt, and some of it regressed. And I think this year the floor is so much higher with the rotation. The floor is so much higher with the bullpen. And a lot of that just really comes down to, I think, David Bednar is going to be better.
Yeah, totally.
And they get a full year of Skeens. Chandler's going to be good. I still think we're going to end the year thinking, had they spent just a little bit more money, this could have been a playoff team. But I do think that they're going to play meaningful baseball all the way into the second, third week of September.
Yeah. I think you brought up a good point there about the money. I think that's the thing that sticks with me the most, because my answer to this question is, maybe it's a milquetoast answer, but I think this is less to do with the Pirates as much as it is what everybody else in the division did. I genuinely think that teams like the Cubs got better. I think the Reds, by virtue of being more healthy, will be better.
And adding
to that,
the best manager of our lifetime.
Yeah, adding Gavin Lux. Less important than Tito Francona, but these teams did things that put themselves in better positions, and I have to sit here and wonder, with the Pirates, outside of Spencer Horwitz, Tommy Pham, Andrew Heath.
I mean, they added, it wasn't sexy additions. I do see their vision for the pitching additions. I really do. Totally. They went and made sure they're going to have a reliable left-handed arm. That's not just an end of game leverage arm, but if they need a lefty on lefty matchup, they're depending on Baraki to be that guy, and they're depending on Jalen Beeks to be that guy. They weren't that guy, pal. So they needed, but now I think they have enough where they're going to find that they knew that their starting rotation was going to be good, but they added Heaney and they made it even better. And so the pitching and stuff, those are additions. It's just, they did nothing to address the offense. And that's where, to your point, where it's the Cubs added offense, the Reds added offense, the Pirates just didn't.
No.
Yeah.
Then you just have to wonder, which of these teams, because I think the reality in the NL Central, it's relative to the other 5 divisions in baseball. I think this one is arguably the most up for grabs.
Yeah.
You could convince me any team not named the Cardinals will win the NL Central.
Right.
I'd throw the Pirates in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also believe you if you told me they're going to go 74-88. I think everything is within play, and it's a matter of, we can focus in on the Pirates and who they have and what they can do. But a lot of this is going to come down to how do the other teams look, because I think that's going to really impact how the Pirates fare.
Yeah, absolutely. It's up for grabs, which makes it more frustrating. That's just the reality of it. But boys, as always, we appreciate you, and to many more episodes with you guys. So keep killing it down there, and we'll see you soon.
Guys, again, congratulations. 100 episodes. Who would have thought? Look at us.
Not us.
Yeah.
Look at us. All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Appreciate you.
Stumpf, get out here.
Is he there?
Yeah. Stop.
I gotta clip this.
Get out here. You're up.
All right, our next guest is our friend, MLB.com reporter, Alex Stumpf. Alex, welcome to the pod again.
Good to be here. Congrats on 100.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Alex, you've been to many spring trainings. Anything sticking out to you this year? Somebody in particular that you're looking forward to watching?
I mean, it was cool to see Hunter Stratton thrown off a mound already. I mean, I didn't really expect that at this point. I mean,
after that gruesome injury, man.
Yeah. I think everyone would have signed up for that. He's going to be thrown again soon. That's really cool to see. There are a couple relievers that I want to see more of. Chase Sugar kind of raised my eyebrows whenever I saw about the backfields. Peter Strzelinski also. There are a couple guys that I kind of still want to see there.
Okay.
See more of.
Nice. How about, I want to get your take on the first base battle, because we just talked about that with Noah and Andrew, and there's a lot of guys that are getting a chance there. Adam Frazier was rumored to getting a chance, and Nick York got a first baseman. We've got Derek Hall. We've got Matt Gorski had a big first game. How do you think that's going to play out in the spring?
I mean, I think it is a genuine competition right now. DJ Stewart is someone who has a little more major league experience, so I would look at that as a plus, even if he doesn't really have a lot of first base experience in that. Gorski is kind of, in a perfect world, I think the best fit because he's a right-handed complement. He could go with Spencer Horwitz, who's a lefty. If he struggles against left-handed pitching, you could go to Gorski. Have a platoon there. He could play all three outfield positions. Someone who could do really well. I think in a bench type of role, but this is a very pivotal year for him. Like I don't know if you bother sending him to Indianapolis if he doesn't make the team. He's 27 years old. This is a really big year for him. Very big camp.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Talk about battles. Not so much. You got Joey Bart pretty much slotted in, and then it's going to be up in the air who's number 2. I personally think it was going to be Henry Davis just because I thought they were going to put Endy in AAA to start the year to get him ramped up. What's your opinion on the second catching spot, and how does Henry Davis look this spring?
Henry looks good, both mechanically and mentally. Like I think he really took last year to heart. I think one of the big areas that we've seen him improve over the last year or two is just processing failure. Like this is someone who really didn't have that much failure from, his sophomore, junior year of high school until he got up to the major leagues. I don't know how well he did, coping with that in the past. I think he's a little better. I think he had a really productive off season for that. Catching battle is interesting. At the start of the camp, I went with Endy because I thought, well, he could play some first base also. That was also before we knew about the Horwitz injury. And now that we know Endy isn't, being in the mix for that first base job. So I'm looking at Henry Davis. I'm looking at Jason DeLay, who is a great, defensive catcher. Pitchers love him. He's great for the catching room. If I had to take a guess right now, I would say Henry, but DeLay would probably be my, very close dark horse.
Okay. Nice. How about is there a deep prospect that you're watching this spring? Not necessarily to make the team, but just, a guy that you're looking forward to seeing throughout the season that could progress throughout the system.
I've been keeping an eye on Jack Brannigan. I mean, this is a system that doesn't have a lot of hitting prospects, but he is one of the top right now. I think we're going to see him at Altuve for a good chunk of this season. He could bounce around the infield. I like the swing. I like the approach. I just want to see more of him. One of the
strong
bad parts about him being in Greensboro is you don't get to see him play every day,
right,
or really ever. So I'm looking forward to making some Altuve trips this year and seeing him there.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He could play some shortstop too. And like Scott mentioned, that arm, wasn't he throwing like 99 off the mound at Notre Dame?
Something like that. Yeah,
absolutely. As long as he's not like it might just be he's like a 3 true outcome type of player, but like if he could provide power, which I think he can, that's a good pick. I like that. Speaking of prospects, Connor Griffin debuted today. Anything that you notice about him? Like, I know the world's on fire. He's going to be the greatest hitter alive. Like, everybody loves him. Do you think the Pirates, I know this is a crazy question, but like, did the Pirates potentially get like a very good bat that they could develop through this system?
I think if nothing else, the first thing that stands out to me is if this baseball thing doesn't work, the Steelers could use another tight end. Like this kid is huge at 18 years old. Like, it's really broad shoulders. But no, I think what really impressed me the most with him, and just the brief conversations I've had with him, is the swing changes. Not only the fact that I think the swing is in a better spot right now, but just at 18 years old, being willing to collaborate, being able to listen, being able to acknowledge that you have to mature, grow as a player. I think those are all just a lot of green flags for a player at this early stage of his career. So yeah, I am very intrigued by him. Obviously a great physical setup, but like just the mental, the intangible side, I've been very impressed also this camp.
Let's talk about Andrew Heaney real quick, Alex. He's a guy that was just signed. I think our biggest signing dollar-wise this offseason. How does he fit into this opening day roster? Is he going to be the number 5 starter? Does this mean that Oviedo is going to be brought about slowly into like a Luis Ortiz role or even on the IL? How does he contribute to this team?
Yeah, Heaney is going to be part of the starting rotation to start the year. Like, I don't know if he's the 4 or 5, the 3, whatever, the order is, but he's going to be one of those 5 guys. Oviedo, I mean, I haven't had it bluntly stated to me, but every time they talk about it, both, in formal interviews and just conversations I have generally, I keep hearing about how they have to be careful with his innings and his workload. So I'm starting to wonder if he's going to be part of this opening day team. If, maybe he starts on the IL. He hasn't faced live hitters yet. I mean, he will at some point soon, but they'll have opportunities to pitch in games. But if maybe in kind of a way they did with Paul Skeens last year, that if you just start the year a little later, that's a way to manage innings over the course of a full season. So I'm looking at him maybe starting the year on the IL, because I don't know how you put him in a Luis Ortiz type role, to start the year of
Sure.
you're going to be a bullpen arm, and then eventually there might be an opportunity. That's not fair to him. That's maybe not the best way to bring him back after a Tommy John either.
So do you see them going with 2 lefties at the back of the rotation then, with Falter and Haney?
Yeah, I think so. Like maybe a Jared Jones, gets sandwiched in between there, just to break up the monotony, because good Lord, could you imagine facing a 91 mile per hour fastball from a lefty to Jared Jones to another 91 mile per hour fastball?
Yeah.
I think that would work probably better than just, Heaney and Falter back to back. But I would guess Falter right now is the number 5, even if, they are giving Majinski a look. They're going to give Caleb Ferguson a look. They do have some options.
All right, Alex, before we head off here, I want to know the over-under that Talking Baseball presented today was 77.5 for the Pirates. Would you take the over or under there?
I would probably take the over, but
by how much?
Oh, not by that much right now. Like I think
I see 80 to 83 as a ceiling.
Yeah, this is a team that in my eyes is a 500-ish club within arm's length. I mean, I'm kind of liberal with what I consider a 500 club. Like I think last year's team was, a 500 club. I know they finished 5 games, 76 wins. They needed 5 more, but that's a rounding error at that point. So
Right.
I view this as like a roughly 500 team that, maybe you win a couple games that you didn't last year, and that makes you into a 6th seed. But it's a good line is going to be my answer to that. But over.
One description that Trevor Plouffe had it today. He said this team has a high floor but a low ceiling. I feel like that describes this team perfectly. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, how low can the floor be with this starting pitching?
Exactly. The floor is high, but what is the ceiling? Is it O'Neill Cruz taking that other step? Is it
it's Cruz taking that step. It's Hayes staying healthy. It's Horwitz coming back sooner rather than later. It's Joey Bart showing that last year's results were, legitimate and that he can do it again. There's a lot of ifs whenever I look at the offensive side. Now, I mean, if they're, competing halfway through the year, this trade deadline, maybe you're a little more aggressive. Maybe you have a little more payroll to work with this time around. But yeah, I don't know how high the ceiling is whenever you just have so many ifs in the offense. In a best case scenario, they could be a 90-something win team, but nobody has the absolute best case scenario.
Right. Well, Alex, we appreciate it as always. Looking forward to seeing you down there in a couple weeks.
Looking forward to seeing you guys too.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Alex.
Now joining us in his Bucko Banter debut from the North Shore 9, Jim Rosati. Jim, welcome, finally.
I know. Hey, congrats on the 100th show. That's a big deal, guys. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And again, honored to be a guest on this. So following Andrew, Noah, Alex. I mean,
it's showtime.
Big company to be with. Yeah.
Big company.
Absolutely.
Jimothy, we're very happy to have you on here. I mean, I feel like we should have had you on way sooner than this. We'll have you on again. But happy to have you on for 100. This is a big episode. You're down there in spring training today. You got down there, today or yesterday?
Got here yesterday. Yeah.
Yesterday. What have you seen in today's game? Like, what has stood out to you in Bradenton at Lecom Park?
Ooh, it's just a couple of games. I guess the biggest piece, Connor Griffin is a monster. Just like seeing him up close. I've never seen him in person until today. That dude is a grown man. Like, I feel like when he got drafted, it was like, he's got all the tools and all this, but he showed up to camp. He bulked up, and I think he was on your all show telling you about his offseason, about like how he like that was one of the things he focused on this year, and you can tell he definitely focused on it, and he showed up looking pretty good at camp. So that definitely standing out. This first base battle for these first couple of weeks, it's standing out. I mean, the fact that Gorski and Stewart, put on a show yesterday, that was pretty crazy. DJ Stewart is my pick for opening day first baseman, but that's my guy right now.
With it, yeah. With it.
Yeah, and then Bubba, got to see Bubba today. Touched 99 on his first pitch. So yeah, always fun to see guys who can throw that hard and who are that talented.
Yeah, let's stick on the rotation while we're at it, because I know a lot of people want Bubba to break camp. Probably not going to happen. They're going to treat it more like on the Skeens path for sure. But they added Andrew Haney. You got Bailey Falter. Oviedo now seems a little bit more questionable. Like they're going to kind of ramp him up a little bit in AAA. How do you like the idea of having Falter and Haney in this rotation, or do you see it playing out in a different way come opening week?
Yeah, I think having both in the rotation is going to be the way they end up going. Falter's out of options, so you got to assume he's on the team in some sort of capacity. When you look at the bullpen, you've got Ferguson there, you've got Meza on a major league deal. So I don't know if Falter fits the bullpen best, but I think Oviedo is kind of the guy on the outside looking in now, coming off the Tommy John surgery. I'm not quite sure how they're going to approach that, though. Like, do they have Oviedo start in AAA? Do they maybe have Oviedo fill in that Luis Ortiz role from last year, where you can get multiple innings from him if you need to. You can get high leverage innings from him if you need to. You can get a spot start from him if you need to. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I'm with you guys. Like, I don't think Bubba Chandler's making this rotation. I don't think it's like a Jared Jones situation like last year where he just took spring by storm and kind of forced his way upon that roster. But yeah, I mean, adding Heaney definitely adds some depth to this rotation that was already pretty deep to begin with when it came to prospect talent. But Heaney getting thrown in the mix, he's going to be there. So now you're looking at, hey, who's that number 5 guy? Probably going to be Falter. That would be my guess, kind of going forward.
Yeah, it feels like Bubba Chandler is the same tier of prospect that Paul Skeens was. Not trying to compare Paul Skeens and Bubba Chandler, but like Jared Jones was like a tier below. So like him like showing out in spring was like kind of undeniable. Like you had to bring him onto that opening day roster. So I don't see Bubba Chandler making that opening day roster. The one guy that I could see, not now with the Heaney signing, was Thomas Harrington being in that maybe that tier below if he were to show out this spring. But Connor Griffin comes in and he hit RBI single today. Is this a guy that you think that they start in Bradenton this year? Is he going to be on the complex? They've historically moved guys kind of slowly, I feel like, compared to other organizations. But he's very mature for a guy his age.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it happens, because the minor leagues is a little different now than it was when, say, like Termar was drafted. It's similar high school bat, early pick. Termar got complex league games in because those games were being played later in the year. When Griffin got drafted, no complex league. So he played instructionals, right? So you kind of hope that he got the same type of experience that Termar Johnson would have gotten that first year. And then you saw Termar move to Bradenton relatively quickly. So I would expect Connor Griffin to start in Bradenton, but I could also see, since the complex league starts a little earlier, maybe they go that route. But I mean, this is a guy where I think you got to push him. He was the most talented high school bat in the draft last year. Push him a little bit, start him in A-ball, and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think just him being able to make the adjustments that he's already made shows that he's beyond his years. And just the overall size of the guy. Like Alex just said, like if the Steelers are looking for another tight end, then like he's got some big shoulders.
He's jacked.
He's absolutely huge, and he can run like the wind. So just adding like a potential 5-tool guy. I know it's like kind of cliche, but he could have all of those tools if they just kind of, like you said, push him a little bit, get him experience, and just get him as many at bats as possible. But Jim, I'm happy to have you on the show because I feel like you give some good overreactions here. All right, and we're 2 games in. I know you got your first base pick already.
Yeah.
But do you have an overreaction either going into spring training where you've already built it up in your own head, or just from seeing a game today where you're like, no, this guy's going to be on the roster. This guy's going to contribute this year.
Man, I always want to believe in Jack Swinsky. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was pushing.
So you got 2025 All-Star Jack Swinsky. I don't know if I'm not holding myself to that reaction. I think my big reaction, I'm hearing a lot of people kind of talk down on Jared Jones. I feel like that was a theme all off season. And you saw Jared Jones start his major league career just lights out. He got hurt and then came back. The second half of the season, obviously not what we wanted to see out of him. But like overall, a pretty good rookie season at Jared Jones. He was 22 years old. Like he's got a year of major league experience under his belt. I think if I'm taking an overreaction, we haven't seen Jared Jones yet, but Jared Jones is a number 2 starting pitcher in my mind. Like I think he's going to be really good. I think people are sleeping on him despite how good he was last year. So I guess if I'm having some sort of overreaction that I haven't even seen Jared Jones yet, but like I'm very much a Jared Jones believer. I think he's a lot better than people think. When people were saying that, maybe we should be trading Jared Jones for a bat, it's like, no, that's not what I would be doing right now.
Yeah.
I guess first couple of games, Henry Davis. Henry Davis was great. Like Henry Davis being back would be cool. I don't know if he'll start in the majors either. I think Jason DeLay kind of has the inside track to that backup catcher job right now. But gosh, I was talking this morning on our show, and like a lot of problems for this team get solved if one of these hitters that you were relying on to give you some power, who didn't give it to you last year, like all of a sudden start contributing. And like Sawinski's in that boat. Henry Davis is very much in that boat where like this team's main issue right now is offense. And if you can get that from somebody that you're not necessarily like banking on getting it from, which I don't think anybody should be banking on anything from Davis right now. Right. But if you can get something from him, that's big. And he had a good first game, looked good behind the plate, threw out a runner at second, double, walk, got on base a couple times. Who knows? I mean, this could be the year it all clicks for Henry Davis.
Yeah, not just any runner too. Enrique Bradfield Jr. I mean, it's one of the fastest guys in the minors.
Like 100 stolen bases last year or something like that. Yeah.
Jimmy, you're talking about Henry Davis, but you have yet to mention Nick Solak. I know you're a big Louisville guy.
I was hoping to see Nick Solak today. He didn't get into the game. I guess if I'm making a huge overreaction, the best middle infield combo that this team could put out right now is Nick Gonzalez at short and Nick Solak at second. There you go. Okay. There's my overreaction.
All right, we're going to move on now. Jim, who's a prospect, like a deep cut? We're not talking Tremar, not talking Connor Griffin, not talking Bubba Chandler. Who's a prospect that you're really excited to watch this year and follow?
Yeri De Los Santos.
Ooh,
I would say.
Okay.
He hits the ball super hard. He's incredibly athletic. Put up okay numbers at Bradenton last year, but I think the strikeouts were still probably higher than what you want. But he's a guy, as we kind of move through the system, I would imagine he's going to go to Greensboro next. I mean, huge signing bonus, one of the top international prospects in that class. And again, he makes loud contact, and he's still really young. And so you just hope that loud contact gets a little bit more consistent as he advances through the minors. Maybe put some more lift on the ball, hits the ball over the fence a little bit more. But that loud contact, if that can turn into power, like game power, he plays shortstop, plays third base. Yeah, I'd say that's out of the guys, maybe not in the top 10. Certainly someone I'm looking at.
Yeah, I feel like Bradenton's going to have a lot of guys with just pop generally. Like I was Tony Blanco down there last year as well. I mean, he's just like a refrigerator of a human being. Like was he like 6'8" or something like that? He's like absolutely massive. But no, I love that pick. How about this? Pick to click for this year, Jim, on the 40 man or just opening day. Who's going to be your guy that's going to either put this team to the next level or just be a big contributor?
I think I'm going to go with Nick Gonzalez.
Love that.
I was talking the other day. I was like, if you had to pick a third guy on this team outside of Reynolds and Cruz, who is going to have a 3-win season, right? And that's not an entire, like, not an incredibly high bar here, but like, who's the guy? And I think right now I'd go Nick Gonzalez. He made a really good step forward last year at the plate, and I loved seeing those strikeouts go down. Now the next step is just, can you add a little bit more power, but also keep the strikeouts down? I have a feeling he can just continue to improve. He had, people loved his bat coming out of the draft.
Yeah.
And we kind of saw throughout the minors, he hit fine, but there were things that you didn't really love about his swing. His first year in the majors didn't go all that great, but last year kind of started putting some things together. If he can transform into that below average bat he was last year to an above average bat this year while playing decent second base and maybe an occasional shortstop, I think he could be more than just a role player on this team.
Yeah, I love that because you mentioned like he cut down on the strikeouts, but he was also super aggressive at the plate, which is something that this team desperately needed around the time that he was called back up last year. I mean, you could recall a couple of walk-offs, just clutch hits. So him taking that next step definitely will, be a big contributor. Mine is Key Brian Hayes if he could stay healthy. And finally, it looks like he's like slowed down the operation and his swing a little bit more compact. If he can be he's going to be a positive WAR guy just because of his glove if he's out there. But if he could add just a little bit with the bat, I think those guys would be like my top two.
Absolutely. I would say Nick York. I'm a big Nick York believer this year. I think he's going to make a big contribution, whether that's like a Nicky G rookie year or even more. And depending on where he plays, I really like him contributing to this team this year. Jim, before we let you go.
Yeah.
Over under this today on Talking Baseball's team preview of the Pirates. They had 77.5. And I don't know if that was a couple of weeks ago because I know they pre-record this. If we're sticking to that 77.5, would you go over or under this year for the 2025 Pirates?
As of today, I'm going to go over 77.5. Yeah, I'm going to go over. I think this team's got a pretty volatile outcome depending on the health of some certain players on the team. But I'm going to say over 77.5. Yeah, I'm gonna take that over.
Good. It's all dependent on Matt Gorski hitting 30 plus home runs.
That's all it is. Matt Gorski and Nick Solak.
And Jack Sawinski, 2025 All-Star, Jim. Come on.
2025 All-Star Jack Sawinski, Nick Solak, DJ Stewart. Can't forget.
Oh,
DJ
man.
Stewart.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Jim, as I would say as always, but this is the first time, but we really appreciate you coming on and to many more in the future.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. A lot of fun.
Thanks, man.
And again, congrats on 100 shows.
Thank you. Thank you. Scott, we are back. Just us two. We were joined by some of our favorite people in Pirates Twitter, just the Pirates world generally. And like, take a step back. Like, this is really cool, right? Because we entered this almost a year ago. Exactly. Right. We're like a little bit past the year. We're at 100 episodes. And not only do we have the top guys on the Post Gazette, MLB.com, Jim, who's been doing this for 10 years now, who's highly respected in the Pirates content world. But like, we're in that conversation too. Like we've made great friends with all these people. We've established great relationships, not with like anybody. I mean, all the other guys that have come on the show, players, like it seemed like we've been doing this for like 4 years. I know it's been just a short time, but it's only going up, man. Like I'm proud of us, and this is a huge accomplishment.
Same, man. We've come a long way from just baseball till now. it's been a long first season, but it's been a productive one and a successful one, I'd say. And I think the second season is going to be even better. We've made some great friends. The North Shore 9 guys are amazing. Noah, Destin, Stumpf. You know, I'm really excited for what's to come, and 100 episodes is nothing to sleep on, man. It's quite an accomplishment. Beginning last year, I don't know if I didn't see this, but like I didn't see it with the success that we've had.
Yeah.
You know, anyone can record, not anyone, but anyone could record 100 episodes. But the progress that we've made throughout the year, I feel like we continue to grow, and it's been fun to be along the ride, and I'm excited for what's coming in 2025 because this team's only going to hopefully get better. We got Paul Skeens. I don't want to put that on them, but we got the best pitcher in the world, and it's a fun time to be around the Pirates team, no matter what the record is. It's a fun time to be around the Pirates team, and we're going to go down to Florida in a couple weeks, and we've got a lot to do. But man, congrats to you, congrats to us.
Real quick. All right, Travis Snyder, Clint Hurdle, Nick Gonzalez, Greg Brown, Steve Blass, Tim Meza, Billy Cook, Connor Griffin, Christian Curtis. Am I missing any others? Josh Palacios,
Roberto Clemente Jr.,
and then all of the beat guys, special
Clint
guests.
Hurdle?
Yeah, Clint Hurdle at the very beginning. Yeah. And then, I mean, that doesn't include, I mean, like, we're having all these, like, very top of the game beat reporters from all around the league, like, happily join the show. Just shout out to everybody that's trusted us. Like, that's big, right? Like, you don't just go anywhere. Like, it means a lot to come on the show and, like, add another element for the fans to, you know, get engaged with baseball, learn more about the players, and have maybe more like respect for what they do, like how we try and structure our interviews on showing how these guys made it to the level that they're at and then breaking down their game. I think it just kind of peels back the curtain a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
And shows just like a whole nother human being behind the guy that's just in the uniform, right? So shout out to everybody that's ever come on the show. We really appreciate all of you. And to celebrate 100 episodes, what you should do right now is you should go to buckobanter.com. You should go buy some gear, and then you should tag us on Twitter and show us what you're repping. We greatly appreciate that. And then go subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, share, leave a comment, and then go follow us on all socials. If you're listening, we love you. Download the episodes, leave a 5-star review, tell a friend to listen to Bucko Banter. And hey, if podcasts aren't for you, right? Like, I don't know, not a lot of people listen, like, might not be your speed, right? Like, you just kind of like to sit in the car and listen to music or watch a TV show. Follow us on social media, right? Like, you can get all the Pirates content there as well. We're going to be even more active moving forward with our game graphics, and the memes are coming back. Scotty, we got to start cooking some stuff up in the lab. We're coming for that NS9 crown this year, the best meme.
Yeah.
So
dude, I'm not losing out on this. Losing out on that this year. I was disappointed this past year, but I knew it was our first season.
We got to step up our game. But you got anything else?
No, man, I appreciate everyone that has followed us along the way and has supported us. Everyone that we had on today, Noah, Destin, Stumpf, Jim Rosati, all the NS9 guys and the Pirates community. Appreciate Yins. I'm stressing that. And I'm excited for 2025. Let's raise it.
Absolutely. Raise it.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Or the steak by the plates and